Welcome back to Bruins Game Reactions. Before this video starts, I'm going to be running through some injury news. Go to this timestamp right here if you want to just skip over that. Kicking it off though, obviously Hampus Lindholm did not return to the lineup tonight. Why? I'm not too sure. I want to say about a week before the Four Nations break, he was skating in a full contact uniform. It's been 3 weeks now in a full contact uniform. Haven't heard an update on it since before the break. It's been radio silence for the guy. He's been out since early November. Unfortunately, a key part of this team is looking like he's not going to be rejoining for another couple days at least. And then obviously during the Four Nations break, Jeremy Swayman, Charlie Mc-ow-voy, Elias Lindholm, and Brad Marchand all go. Jeremy Swayman obviously didn't play. I feel bad for him because I know he would have loved to play in that game. As a Bruins fan, I am very thankful because I do not want our star goalie getting injured. And yes, he is a star goalie. I will fight anyone on that. Elias Lindholm seems to have skated his third line minutes along with Brad Marchand in and out of the tournament. Marchand obviously coming out with the win, with the medal, with the trophy. Charlie Mc-ow-voy. This is where the conversation gets tough. Bit of backstory. When the Bruins acquired Pat Maroon last season from the Minnesota Wild, they were very unhappy with the way that the Minnesota Wild gave them the medical records on Pat Maroon. I want to say that he was that Boston was told that he would be out for a couple more days. I believe it was almost a month and a half later. I want to say April 8th, April 11th was Pat Maroon's first game. Not great. Obviously, a bit of a warning. But you think, okay, setbacks happen. It's won, it's done, whatever. Bill Guerin is the general manager of the Minnesota Wild. And for the past 2 months, the general manager of the USA hockey team for the Four Nations face-off. And obviously that includes the Minnesota Wild medical staff. How the medical staff is chosen, I don't know. My logic would have been it goes to the coach's team. It went to the GM's team. I don't know if that was normal for every other team or what happened. Obviously there was something. Every team had a medical team. You have to have a medical team. But with it being the medical team of the Minnesota Wild, kind of red flag number one right there. Imagine this is my little red flag that I'm waving. Charlie Mc-ow-voy took a hit late in the Finland USA game. It didn't look like much. He was definitely in pain after it. Ended up drawing a call on the play, but he took a cross check from behind. It's been almost a week since I've seen the replay. I think his shoulder made contact with the post. Obviously, that's gonna hurt, and he was able to finish the game, and he was able to play the following game against Team Canada. Did not play against Sweden. Did not play in the championship game. And after Team USA made it to Boston, somehow the Bruins medical team got in contact with him. I personally didn't think that was allowed. The rules on this tournament were just very gray. That's a conversation for a different day, though. Welcome to the NHL. You hope that he's okay, and then the news comes out that he's been admitted. Boston General, I think. It was one of the two. And all of a sudden, this just got really serious. Thankfully, turns out it is an AC joint injury with an infection. I say thankfully. It could have been significantly worse. This is far from ideal, though. Just even having Charlie McAvoy needing to be admitted to hospital is one thing. But having it from the Minnesota Wild medical staff is another. And I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and dunk on the Minnesota Wild medical staff. They're one of the 30 best medical staffs in the world, I am sure. Wow, you have messed this up. You've not only messed this up once, you've messed this up twice now. I would be shocked if Jeremy Jacobs and Cam Neely, Don Sweeney are not fuming with the Minnesota Wild. Obviously, false information was given. Not even given, just the whole situation was handled improperly, or mishandled rather would be a better word. And this is something that can't happen. Should there be a punishment for the Minnesota Wild medical staff? I'm going to say yes. I also happen to be wearing the same jersey that Charlie McAvoy wears. So I can't have a fair bias on that, unfortunately. But you hope that he's not hurt long term. I am under the impression, or I am under the belief rather, keep him out. He was dealing with something earlier this season. He hasn't looked right the entire season. Shelf him. Tell him, hey man, we're done with therapy on your arm, or whatever the rehab process would be. Take a trip down to Cabo, take a few months, come back in the summer, and we can go through this. However you want to look at it. I don't want to see Charlie McAvoy on a pair of skates for the rest of the season. That is the long and short of it, in my opinion. Because this team's not going to do anything, unfortunately. But that's going to be the way it is. And yeah, unfortunately that's it for Charlie McAvoy. That's kind of all I know. Heading into this game, obviously you're down your top two defensemen. Mason Lohrei is on the second power play unit. I believe he was supposed to be on the first, but the way the power play is kind of filtered out, he kind of ended up on the second. And Nikita Zadorov took over on the first power play unit. And yeah, that was how we headed into this one. Brad Marchand took a tough hit, or not even tough hit, just tough fall. About midway through the third period. He was able to return. Haven't got an update on that yet. That looks like a concussion. That genuinely looks bad. The way he slid, the way he fell, he hit the boards, his head bobbled around, his helmet almost popped off completely. That looks like a concussion. You hope he's okay. There was something on the ice tonight. Might have been the fact that it's been changed over twice in the past 2 weeks. From the Bruins ice to the Four Nations ice, back to the Boston ice. I will say the B at center ice looked a lot better today than it has in games past. Even back to game 1, it looked better today. But obviously there was something. Marchand was not the only guy to fall. It was like a slip and slide out there. You hope he's okay. You hope for the best. Sometimes you don't get the best, unfortunately. So with that, we're going to head into this, and we're going to kick off the rest of this video. Alright, welcome to the second part of this Bruins game reactions. Boston Bruins lose 3-2 at the hands of the Anaheim Ducks. Just barely, in overtime. Man, this game started off poorly for Boston. They were able to reel it back in, squeeze a point out of it. That's the important part. Obviously, 2 would have been nice. 2 would have been great, honestly. We'll take 1. Those zeros can stay in the back quarter, or back 3 quarters of the NHL season now. 25 games to go before the trade deadline. Nope, sorry, before the end of the regular season. 7 games to go before the end of the trade deadline. And Boston's got some moves to make if they want to improve on next season. Obviously, Charlie McAvoy is out. I am going to say that he's done for the year. He might not be. Hampus Lindholm, I'm going to put in that same group as Charlie McAvoy. I don't think he's done for the year because we have seen him in a contact jersey at Bruins practice. As of right now, though, no news. Not great news, unfortunately. Let's get right into it. The Dallas Stars, nope. The Anaheim Ducks, came out flying in this one. 17 shots in the first period. Got nowhere near that, actually, the rest of the game. Boston gets 7. Anaheim comes out flying right out of the gate, pummeling Boston into the earth. I want to say the shots were 11-1 at one point. And it was a tough break for Boston. Unfortunately, Jeremy Swayman allowed 2 bad ones. Not even 2 bad ones. It was a 2-on-1, and then just a backdoor tap-in was the second. And then, obviously, the third one in overtime, but just in the first period. I mean, you hate those, but that 2-on-1, man, those happen. Nothing Swayman could have done there, unfortunately. Brad Marchand did go down with an injury in the third period. Came back, continued to play through it. Getting back into the first period, Boston all over the place. Couldn't get any pressure built. Then, after 10 minutes into the first period, they finally start building some pressure. Start getting a couple chances, and that's when the majority of their 7 shots came. 7's not enough. It's not enough for a period. 9 is okay. That puts you on pace for 27. 7 puts you on pace for 21 through a game. That's not good enough. Yeah, I mean, Boston ended up coming back in the second and third period with 13 and 9, with Dallas only getting 7 and 2 in those same periods. So, obviously, that's a good thing. There's a reason Boston scored 2 goals in those periods. Anaheim scored 0. Overtime, it's a line rush. It's 3 for Anaheim, 1 for Boston. Man, those happen. Bad rebound control by Swayman there. Kind of the only one you would want him to have back there, really. Could have had the second. Would have had to make a highlight reel save. Unfortunately, just not going to be it. Shots end up 30-29 in favor of Boston. Kind of unfortunate, but that's it. Yeah, Anaheim kicks off the scoring late. Less than 3 minutes to go. Closer to 2.5 in the first period. And again, man, less than 3 minutes to go in a period. Overtime's one thing, because you go 3 minutes into overtime. You got 2 minutes left. You go 3 minutes from the end of overtime. You got 2 minutes since the start. So that kind of gets a pass, because there's no momentum to be built after overtime. It's done. Trevor Zegras and Jackson Lacombe, just a great play. 2-on-1, almost a 3-on-1. Just back and forth. I don't know who the defender was. I want to say that was Mason Lohrei back. Just couldn't kind of pick a lane, honestly. Yeah, Zegras over to Lacombe, back to Zegras, roofs it. And, yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's a bad one. Bad defensive breakdown by Boston there. Can't do much about it. Just head into the second period. Don't give one up. Try and strike back. Get another one going. And Frank Vetrano. 38 seconds left. Just a bomb from the point from Radko Gudas. Sorry, not even a bomb. Radko Gudas slides it over to Frank Vetrano, tips it in, roofs it. Man, I mean, that sucks. That's one you want back. But Swayman wasn't going to make a save on that one, unfortunately. Yeah, no, I mean, just not a great end to the first period. Not a great start to the first period. You had the final 10 minutes to yourselves, and it crumbles in the final 3, unfortunately. Moving into the second period, just get one back here early, strike back at them, put them on their heels, see if you can roll them out of this one. And you know what? Elias Lindholm had a pretty good game today, honestly. Wasn't making the most amount of noise. Wasn't quiet, though, by any means. But that's exactly what you want from him. That's what he's been paid to do. And on this one, he picks up his 11th goal of the season. That goal by Elias Lindholm was just beautiful. Mason Lohrei, top of the point, 5-on-3. Works it over to the wall, sends it down to David Pastrnak. Pastrnak over to Lindholm. Lindholm rips it 5-hole on John Gibson. And Boston is able to tie this one up about midway through the frame in the second period. Would have liked a goal sooner than that. You got one. You get on the board. Start pushing on them now. And for the rest of the period, Boston kind of does. Unfortunately, John Gibson continues to shut them down. Just couldn't solve them, unfortunately. He looked great in this one. Lucas Dostal honestly deserves more credit. Came in at the end of the second period and kind of balled out for the rest of the game. Obviously gives up the one goal. Man, I mean, one goal off a cold goalie. That's good for Anaheim. Not good for Boston, obviously. But for Anaheim, that's pretty damn good. But yeah, with that, we're going to move into the third period. Third period starts, as I mentioned, the 5-on-3. The power plays in this one were not even. Boston had 4, Anaheim had 1. Boston was the team doing the least infringing on the rules, and unfortunately they're going to get called if you're Anaheim. Overall, I mean, the officiating wasn't that bad, really. The officiating on this goal, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyways, getting into it. Great circling. Circling down low, working the puck up to the top of the not top of the crease, top of the point, sorry. By Lohrei and Marchand. Lohrei? Yeah, sorry, by Lohrei and Marchand. I mean, I don't get how you call this goalie interference. Lucas Dostal gives Elias Lindholm the body in front. 2 or 3 good whacks with the blocker. Lindholm's not in the crease. He's a good 4 or 5 inches out, maybe even 6. Not in the crease. Dostal's just drilling into him. Finally, Elias Lindholm turns around, gives him a shot, which arguably puts him in a better position to make the save. I will stand on that hill. I won't necessarily die on that hill. Lindholm gives him a shot, and immediately Dostal does the normal goalie thing, acts like he's just been shot, falls back, doesn't fall over. Puck comes in from Morgan Geekie, maybe 2.5, 3 seconds later, beats him far glove. Sorry, far side, not far glove. Might have been glove, actually. And it's waved off. Immediately, it's waved off for goalie interference. If it's goalie interference and Boston has the puck, where's the call then? Or is there a different set of goalie interference rules for every team? Because it seems like there's different sets of goalie interference rules goaltender interference rules for every team. So if you truck a goalie, that's a penalty. Even if it's arguably not your fault, that's a penalty. And then if you shove a goalie, it's not a penalty, but it's going to negate a goal. Would love an explanation on this from the NHL. Gonna get one? No, because why would we? They're the NHL. They do whatever the hell they want. Goal gets waved off. I think every fan in the building knew that if this gets reviewed, this is coming back. Hell, the broadcasters were even saying that. Obviously, on NESN, they're going to be biased towards Boston. No. If you find a replay on Twitter, watch it. Man, that's not goalie interference. That is not goalie interference. After the playoffs last year, not just from Boston, Florida, but from every team, that is not goalie interference, what just happened. Anyways, Joe Sacco reviews it. Call comes back. 2-2. Boston ties it up late while they were up 6-on-4. 6-on-5, sorry, not 6-on-4. Just get out of this one. Get a point. Ideally, you get 2. Take a breath. Have a practice. Get Toronto. Get out of the third period. They do that. Take a breath. They do that. Man, I hate these overtimes. I hate them being 3-on-3. Give us these 10-minute 5-on-5s. This 10-minute 5-on-5 might have gone the distance. I'll say that. But I think this Four Nations tournament has shown us that you give these guys 10 more minutes of 5-on-5 hockey, it's probably going to end before then. I think there were 3 overtime periods. 3 or 4. Different overtime periods. Sweden, Canada was 1. Championship was 2. Sweden, Finland was 3. I think that was it. Yeah. Okay, so there were 3 overtime periods in the tournament. None of them went longer than 8 minutes. Man, give us those extra 5 minutes of overtime. I know Nathan McKinnon was complaining after the Sweden-Canada game. No, give us these 10-minute OTs. These guys get paid millions of dollars a year. You can handle 4 more minutes of ice time for a 10-minute period. Yeah, I mean, this one obviously didn't need the full 5. I don't know what to say there, really. Other than what I said earlier, poor rebound control by Swayman, unfortunately, and bounces right onto the stick of Leo Carlson. Whoever was out beside him in the net maybe stopped that puck from going in. Or, sorry, maybe stopped Swayman from saving that puck. You never know, right? I mean, could have. Maybe it beats him cleanly and Swayman looks like so much more of a fool if he's not there. But maybe if he's not there, he's on his guy, like he arguably should have been. I don't know if that was Frederick or Zadorov. It was a bigger guy on the team. Unfortunately, it happens. You get 1 of 2. Gotta cut this one from your mind. You host Toronto. I want to say, funnily enough, you host Minnesota next week, Tuesday, Thursday, I believe. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. Click like if you like. Click subscribe if you enjoyed. And we will see you next time for Bruins Game Reactions.